Hello, friends. I'm Collier.
I'm Elijah.
And welcome to the
Hopefully Wandering
Podcast.
It's bad.
All right. Did we get that one?
It's really bad, but yeah.
It's bad, but we're keeping it in because we are bringing you the real stuff. We don't edit shit.
That's not true.
Well, we are back, and this is going to be a bonus episode. So, this is like Lion King 1.5, a little teaser for season 2 that's gonna come in season 1 or in between season 1 and season 2.
Yeah. This is Lion King 1.5. This is a little bonus episode we wanted to throw out there real quick to get you ready for the awesomeness that is coming up in December.
Yeah, so if you're listening to it when it comes out, then you know what we're talking about. You're excited. If you're listening to this later, like a year later, then you don't care. It doesn't make a difference to you.
No, not at all.
Anyway, we are the Hopefully Wandering Podcast. Let's see. We are a podcast that talks about kind of whatever we want to. But the main thing is that we both worked in church and now don't, and have rejected God and are now living as hopeful wanderers through this life, through the realm of spirituality and through the world.
We've rejected God. I just imagine God inviting us to the prom. And I'm like, no, God, my heart's for another. It's the sinful pleasures of this world.
God he's standing there on the sidewalk in the rain with his flowers, and he drops his head as Jimmy World plays. And
yeah. It's like the opening to a rom-com.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, everyone knows how the rom-com ends, and how most people who knew us back in the day think it's going to end is the guy's going to get the girl back. So us girlies, Elijah, are going to go back to God's firm grasp. He's going to firmly grasp us like Squidward, man.
Firmly grasp it. Do you think you could ever go back legitimately?
Oh, fuck no. No.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm talking to especially more progressive Christians, I've noticed that there's something I do find sort of attractive about parts of that. And yeah, it's possible that I could go back to believing in something. Yeah. But I'm not fully closing the doors, but I'm definitely fully closing the door on really any type of organized Christianity. Definitely. That's a hard no.
Yeah.
And most Christianity in general is also a no. I don't know. It's just not convincing to me. I don't get it. Other than that my ancestors, are Christian, and I'm following in the footsteps of my family. That's where I'm raised. That's where I'm from. That type of thing. So, my background is Christian. So
right.
I could claim that maybe as a heritage, but I don't know if I go back beyond
the Christian
that.
heritage. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Man, yeah, I totally agree with you. Have you seen the TikTok video of the guy who shows the video of the worship guitar player on stage falling over and shaking, and then he's like, listen, part of me's so embarrassed that I used to believe this shit.
Yeah. No, I did see that one. Yep.
That's kind of how I feel. I'm like, do I miss specifically playing the genre of worship music and, decent worship music? Yeah, I think I do. But we're out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of places that I'm never going back to again. One of them is Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, Collier. Have you ever heard of it?
The LU Flames?
The LU Flames?
No, you're never going back there.
Yeah, no.
No, why not?
Well, have you ever heard of Liberty University?
I have. I think I was like one of the only students in our high school, Elijah, that did not go on a college visit there.
I'm kind of surprised because a lot of people at least visited.
Yeah, I wanted to. I just knew it was too expensive, and then never set up the visit.
My
But
middle
yeah,
school
everyone
crush
visited and then
went
like
there.
was obsessed.
Yes, for sure. But my middle school like head over heels crush went there, so I was like, I have to visit Liberty.
Yeah,
So,
you
Gotta
gotta.
visit Liberty. So for our viewers and guests who do not know about Liberty University, we're going to tell you a little bit about the founding of Liberty University.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it.
All right, Liberty University trains champions for Christ with values, knowledge, and skills essential for impacting tomorrow's world. Their motto is knowledge of flame, and they're located in the quaint Lynchburg, Virginia. They were founded in 1971, and the campus holds over 7,000 acres, over 7 million square foot of building space, as well as 177 buildings and structures upon campus. They have over 700 unique programs of study, over 300 residential programs, and over 450 online programs. This may strike some people as odd, looking that they have actually more programs online than they do in person.
Yeah, okay.
This has a little bit to do with why Liberty is so big. Anyways, continuing on, I'm just looking on their website right now, looking at some quick facts. Residentially, they have 47% male, 53% female. Online, it's 39% male, 61% female. About half of students live on campus. Every state is represented, as well as 76 countries. And then Liberty University students volunteer more than 500,000 hours per year. So, for any of you sport people, they have 20 NCAA Division I athletic programs, 40-plus club sports teams, 6 NCAA Division I individual national championships, over 180 NCAA Division I conference titles, 15 conference all-sport award wins in 23 years, and 500 student athletes.
Wow. Yeah, there was 1 year in the past decade that they were in the March Madness tournament and went like surprisingly far.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. I mean, because they are pretty tiny, definitely. Yeah, our friend Alex over at the Doctor and Lawyer podcast, I remember specifically during that time. So he went there, and I remember during that time that they were in the March Madness bracket and whatever, they were like winning some games and stuff, and he decided to take the rules, like the Liberty Way that they call it, their rule book that you get fined if you don't follow their rules. And he was like, based on what time it is in the city that they're playing basketball right now, and what they're doing, they racked up like hundreds of dollars in fines because they're out past curfew. They're like around alcohol. They're lots of different, different things about that he was like that they technically racked up all these different fines.
I bet they didn't.
I mean, they didn't.
It.
They didn't rack up the fines. No. But he was like, they should technically by the rules, which is really funny. Yeah. So as far as Christian colleges go, it is pretty huge.
It's freaking
like you said,
huge.
a lot of that's online, but even like their campus. I know you said you visited twice. Their campus is giant too, right?
Yeah. So they have these. Man, I can't remember what it's called, but they have these like welcome weekends where like they will just take like incoming freshmen or students, high school juniors and seniors, and they'll just
call it Flame Week or
Flame Weekend.
That, but it's something, some kind of pun. I forget what it is.
Yeah, it's real bad. Anyways, they will just stick them in rooms with students. So like they don't ask for consent of the students who are paying to stay there. They're just like, hey, you're gonna stay here.
Uh-huh.
I stayed with Alex.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh, fun, fun.
Way back in the day. Way back in the day. I mean, I was
There
like
you go.
a junior in high school, and he was like a sophomore in college, and I was just crashing in his dorm room on the floor. And like when you go on campus, it's like its own zip code kind of vibe. Like they have their own police force. They have like their own zip code, own restaurants. It's freaking huge. Look up some pictures of Liberty University. It's a very, very unique college experience. The only thing that I can liken it to is like, we're come from a background of like a lot of like small Christian schools, but it's almost like one of the really big like universities. So like where U of L takes up like a whole freaking area downtown. It's like that, but for a little down in Virginia.
Yeah, and so those small town colleges are usually like the whole town then.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so this one being a Christian college, it's a Christian town then. So that's scary.
That's right.
Yeah, so it was started by Jerry Falwell.
Senior.
Yeah, he had a son whose name is also Jerry Falwell, which like also like why do people do that? Why let's stop naming our sons the exact same thing as us. It's weird and confusing. But so Jerry Falwell Sr. was one of the big guys in the kind of new moral majority movement and the kind of conservative evangelical wave that happened in the late 60s, if I'm not wrong, to 70s and kept on going from there.
He had a very famous radio and TV show called The Old Time Bible Hour.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So he was one of those guys. Yeah, so Liberty was, so the 60s and even before that there was end of segregation. And a lot of these people, like Jerry Falwell, got really scared and they said, we need a place for whites and whites only. And a lot of segregation academies popped up. Now, I'm not saying Liberty was technically a segregation academy, but because of mostly segregation and the changing of the culture of the U.S., a lot of these really conservative Christians got terrified and they needed a way to take power. Billy Graham was one of them and he did his own route. And then Jerry Falwell, Paul Weyrich, a couple other, there's some big founders. A lot of them were based in eugenics.
Yeah, look this shit up. It's real.
It's real. Yeah. So anyway, Liberty came about because of that, because he wanted, a place to train young men.
For the whites. The whites.
Yeah, to take the gospel to everywhere and take back this nation, really. And so they found that, political power was good and they wanted that. And having a good university is a good way to do that.
Yeah, when you get your essentially like one of the first televangelist shows that and like the Crystal Power Hour, like out in California, which that's a whole other thing. Like those early television stuff, they had to have some sort of like political influence because it just would help their show. It was the first of its kind of thing. And so, I know that a lot of people would seek audiences with people of like political, power. So you get like the race between like Ronald Reagan and like Lyndon B. Johnson. I think that's who he ran against, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the ironic thing. Ronald Reagan, devout Catholic, which traditionally evangelicals stray away from.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember if it's like Dwight. No, I don't think it's Dwight Eisenhower. I think it's Lyndon B. Johnson. But I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me. Is like a Baptist. But because he aligns with like these traditionally liberal policies, Ronald Reagan aligns with like stuff that would vibe with the evangelicals more. So like before segregation happened, or like a desegregation, a lot of evangelicals were actually pro-choice because what they would... Go ahead.
I found it. Sorry, Jimmy Carter.
God, why did I say Lyndon B. Johnson? Thank you. Jimmy Carter. Yeah. He's Baptist. He like...
Oh, yeah, very Baptist, yeah.
Very Baptist, but he ran with the libs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but Ronald Reagan partnered almost with evangelicals, did like a press tour with them. and was like, hey, now that like desegregation is in place, pick a new like hot topic. And so like before like the segregation stuff, they didn't really care about abortion all that much. They would just say, it's legal. It's between you, your minister, and blah, 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 and God. And then they were like, no, we need to regulate that shit. So like it would
and that's how so that's basically how like the religious right and the moral majority was founded, was a mix between people like Jerry Falwell and all these other big Christian players at that time, and Ronald Reagan, and they tried a lot of issues out because they said, okay, well, it's not popular for us to run on segregation anymore. We can't do that. It's not allowed, and we'll lose. So what can we make the cultural issue of the day? What can we get our people, like, how can we still be segregationists without having to run on segregation? So they drummed up the issue of abortion.
Yeah.
Which, Catholics always kind of didn't like. Catholics were always against abortion, but Baptists, they were fine with it. I mean, like, fine with how the law currently was, where it was like, in the case of, well, that it should be between a family and their doctor, and especially in cases of like, death of the mother, stuff like that. There's, they would usually say that, it's probably like you should do it, if in cases of that, like, so they were very like moderate on the issue, or what would even now be called liberal maybe on the issue. Like they were very okay with it, and thought it should be a private matter.
It kind of sounds a little bit like libertarian in just a sense that like, what's right for you is right for you, but it doesn't have to be right for me. Like I can respect and care about you regardless if we do the same thing or not, which I'm totally down with.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I'm totally cool with especially with that issue, because it's more than anything a medical privacy issue. So that's totally cool.
If abortion's legal, it doesn't mean that anyone's being forced to get them, guys.
Yeah. So out of all that, Liberty University came and kind of quickly started just gaining popularity. And I mean, like we said, now has become one of the largest Christian universities. Is it a university, I think?
Yeah, it is a university.
Yeah. One of the largest universities that is still like explicitly like Christian, like not like just in name. It's like evangelical, training young men to be leaders for Christ, that type of university.
So here's what I want to say is that Liberty University they more want political or like world influence more than they want like Christ representation. Like the vibe I get they would even say this is that they want to have people who are going to impact the world, regardless of if they're in a ministry field or not. And so the way that often plays out is like Jerry Falwell Jr., who is the son of Jerry Falwell Sr., he died. Jerry Falwell Sr. dies in like 2007. I don't know the exact year, but his son, who like was trained up, he went to like law school. He's like I don't remember, he's like a property lawyer. He ends up, because of his name, being put as the dean of the college, the president of the school.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I visited Liberty University, I got to see him talk. They have convocation every day, or or maybe not every day, but like
it is, a
couple days a week. And it's like, imagine like going to like a Taylor Swift show, and that's how huge it is. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but like it's fucking massive with wild lights, crazy stuff. Jerry Falwell Jr. begins to seek influence through his position as like the head of Liberty University. So back when like fucking Donald Trump was like announcing, like not even before he even announces his run for presidency, he's in talks with Jerry Falwell Jr. So it's like it goes deep.
Yeah. So that's a big theme of Liberty University is the Dominion theology and the Christian nationalism, which they explore pretty in depth in a documentary that we're going to talk about. So
right.
kind of why we're doing this as a more timely release and a bonus episode too is that recently, in the past couple weeks from when this is being recorded, there was a documentary that came out about kind of the scandal that finally broke Jerry Falwell and finally got him. Presumably, I mean, he's no longer the dean of the school, and but in the documentary, they go into a lot of detail about the Christian nationalism of it all, and it's very similar to our Hillsong episode with the Seven Mountain theology, or Seven Mountain Mandate, the Dominion theology, where part of this group of evangelicals, or this like theology that some evangelicals have, is that Christians should own basically and dominate the majority of powerful areas in the world, and therefore they would be able to encourage, if not force, Christian doctrine and Christian living on everyone. And so that's essentially the theology. Like I said, if you want to look up either Dominion theology or Seven Mountain Mandate, they're both kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Seven Mountain Mandates like has several different areas of life that they want Christians to dominate.
Is that like Zionism, or is
it.
that a different thing?
I think it's similar to like a Christian Zionism. I know Zionism is like in Judaism where they want, but there's also Christian Zionism too. So, but I think it's similar where it's more about control and power in this world rather than like, rather than heaven type of power, you know?
Right. They want to. We're talking about like the Marjorie Taylor Greene, like institute Christian nationalism kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's the make sure that the Ten Commandments are in every school and every government building, and make there be prayer in schools at all times. I mean, that's just the
Very
basics
fascist.
of it, and yeah, definitely enforcing Christian living as like what is legally what you have to do. Like it's very very fascist, like you said. It's very dominating and yeah, imperialist. I don't know, but anyway, so that's where a lot of this kind of theology comes from. But the documentary was it focused mostly on the view of a pool boy, which is very interesting, and you may not expect from a documentary about a Christian college.
Okay, I can summarize the documentary, but I have a question for you, Collier, before we do. Just before we like go like down what that whole fucking crazy rabbit trail is about. So at Liberty University, they're a huge ass school with thousands of students. How do they like regulate Christian behavior with their students?
Oh God! Well, they have this thing called the Liberty Way.
Liberty Way, Collier. What's that?
Which is, damn. I don't have it pulled up. I should have pulled up the Liberty Way. I wonder if I.
Oh, is it
on their website? Can you search it?
Let me look real quick. Like a nice.
Yeah, so basically it's a student honor code that regulates behavior. So a lot of Christian colleges, I mean, mine that I went to, which was the small college, the boys' college in Louisville, a lot of them have a lot of rules about what you can and can't do, basically, and how to live your life. They can involve like room checks, curfews, prohibitions on alcohol, prohibitions on sex, but also prohibitions on dating, on like being in the same place, the same room as members of the opposite sex, different rules on who's allowed in your dorm room, lots of stuff like that. It's very much like if you think of a very incredibly strict conservative Christian parent, it's that, but for the entire student body of a college. Yeah, the Liberty Way, I believe, is I don't know. Are you seeing anything, Elijah? Because I believe it's pretty intense, all the stuff that they do. And so not only do they have these rules, the way they enforce them is they fine you. So it's a way for the school to have revenue. So if you're out, if you clock in 5 minutes after curfew, you get fined a certain amount of dollars. You know,
I have it. I have like the exact rate.
Oh, really?
Yes. So there's some very, very specific rules in there about like what's appropriate and what is not. One thing I want to note is that there's like, so it's a 25-page PDF. You just search Liberty Way, it'll come up. 2022 to 2023. There's like 2 or 3 pages dedicated on like the importance of mandated reporting. Of like reporting other people, and they're like, hey, you have to.
Shit.
This all works upon you reporting your fellow students.
Oh God! So it's not even. Oh wow!
No, read
so
it.
You have
it's
to be
in
a narc
there
for your fellow students.
Yeah,
wow.
no, they're asking you, and
okay.
they say amnesty might be granted if you are breaking the code and you witness someone else break the code if it's worse than yours. So
what?
Let's go over
Dude, that's like such fucking like ridiculous totalitarianism. That's crazy.
Oh, it's bullshit. So 0 points if you're late to convocation. If you're absent from convocation, it'll be a $25 fine per absence after the first 2.
Yeah, and anyone that doesn't know, convocation is basically like a forced chapel, like a forced church service. So it's like Elijah said, it's big and has lights and stuff, and it's like a concert, but it's also just like a church service where they have speakers telling you a message and worship songs and stuff like that.
A church service when Donald Trump comes to preach?
Well, I mean, there are lots of church services
2 Corinthians
that had Donald Trump come and speak in 2020 and 2015, so...
5 points may include a $15 fine, dress code violation, failure to respond to students or affairs, official correspondence within 48 hours, impromptu sign out, curfew violation, illegal gambling, attendance at a dance?
Attendance at a dance.
Attendance at a dance. Vaping, disturbance in convocation. Okay, 10 points may include a $50 fine, deception, minor violation on sexuality and relationships, violation of entertainment guidelines, violations of statements. 15 points, which may include a $150 fine and 15 hours of community service. Obscene, profane, or abusive language, possession of drug paraphernalia, threat to do bodily harm, theft, vandalism, academic misconduct, plagiarism, falsification, obstruction on making bad faith claims of misconduct, participating in social gathering where alcohol is present, party, bar, nightclub. So if you even go to something where alcohol is served, even a concert, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But there's worse than that.
God.
So mind you, sexual misconduct is only 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
But 30 points is consumption of alcohol. So possession, use...
drinking is worse than raping. Okay.
Yes. Possession or consumption of alcoholic beverage is worse than rape. Procuring, financing, facilitating, or obtaining an abortion. So here's another thing. Unauthorized use or possession of a weapon. When freaking Jerry Falwell Jr. carried a gun into convocation. Yeah. Life-threatening behavior. Yeah. Non-participation in classes or extended absences. Disruption to university. They're so open-ended that like they could just do whatever they want.
Yeah, a lot of these I'm looking at could be very open-ended. Yeah, like just... Like one of them is non-compliance with a directive of any university representatives. Does that mean like you... So you could get 30 points docked on you for misbehaving or for not obeying what a Liberty University staff member or like Liberty University police officer tells you to do. Like you could get 30 points for that, which is like a big fine.
I think that's exactly what they're saying. However, like fucking sexual assault is only 15.
Yeah. No, that's another point that I don't like have enough I guess the data in front of me or enough like stories in front of me to like speak on this in depth, but I know that I've heard a lot about very, very big problems with the sexual assault reporting at Liberty University and how most people are encouraged to be quiet, encouraged to either like forgive their abusers or not report it, stuff like that. And As again Alex said from the Doctor and Lawyer podcast, having their own police system too means that any type of assault like that you would report doesn't get reported to the real police.
Right.
It gets reported to Liberty Police, who can then do whatever the fuck they want to do with it. So
I have a resource.
It protects predators in a lot of ways.
Yes,
yeah.
it does. It does, especially like if your predator is like a star athlete.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
which I mean, to be fair, that does happen on on a lot of colleges with star athletes, especially.
Oh God, the fucking football player.
Yeah, but I think in Liberty it's pretty bad because there is being Baptist, they are complementarian, and there's a lot of fucking misogyny that happens at Baptist schools and Baptist theology. So yeah, who's gonna believe a woman if you can believe the man instead? That type of thing.
I've got a resource I want to shout out at the end of the podcast that can go over more of like the Liberty Way and sexual misconduct of like Title IX reporting. I've got a lot to talk about there, but like I think we probably should transition more to like the God forbid stuff now.
Yeah, totally.
Because all of this is set up to talk about not Jerry Falwell Jr., but the perspective of a young man whose life they ruined through the documentary. Do you want me to share about that, or do you want to summarize it? I don't mind. Whatever you want.
Well, I can do just the brief, like the headline, and then if you want to do more, like a longer summary, that'd be good.
Yeah, I'll do like a 5-minute version.
Yeah, I'll just share like how I heard this. So, I had heard about. Jerry Falwell Jr. had been in some hot water for a while just because of like his endorsement of Trump. He was like the first big president or big like Christian leader to do that. A lot of people have been looking a little critically at him because of that. He's done a lot of kind of shady shit too. Like there's random little things that happened. Nothing really ever came of anything. And then at some point, a story broke about a affair, essentially, between Jerry Falwell Jr.'s wife and a pool attendant from like a Liberty-owned resort in Florida. Pool boy. So Jerry Falwell's story broke. He said his wife had an affair, basically. Then the pool attendant had a story break in Reuters magazine, and he said this wasn't an affair. This was like a cuckolding scenario that they fucking ruined my life, where Jerry Falwell Jr. like was present in the room where we were having sex and wanted to watch, and like it was a whole thing with us being in this relationship, and so that all came out. Jerry Falwell Jr. tried to blame his wife and make her take the fall for it, basically saying that she was like unfaithful to him when it was really he who wanted to watch it all, and it was both of them. And essentially what the documentary gets into is just the pool attendant side of the story. So the headlines are he was fucking like 20 years old, right, when this started. He was a kid. He was young. And they proceeded to, for the next like 8 years of his life, almost like own him in using, different business type of things, using blackmail and whatever. Basically owned this young guy and abused him because they wanted to continue this scenario that they had created where he would have sex with Jerry Falwell Jr.'s wife, and Jerry would watch it and they would get enjoyment out of it. And that's the main point of it. So the documentary, God forbid, on Hulu is from this guy's point of view. His name is Giancarlo
Granda.
Yeah, Giancarlo Granda. And he was a pool attendant at a Liberty-owned resort in Miami, and then
I don't know if it's owned by Liberty. Just to be clear.
Or no, yeah, it might not be owned by Liberty. Yeah, it's just one that the Falwells like regularly went to. But yeah, then his life got turned upside down by this whole shenanigan.
It's terrible. He was basically like a 20-year-old summer job as a pool boy. It wasn't even like his gig. It was like between college.
Yeah.
And like, his job's just to like talk to attendees, be a pool boy, get them drinks, get them towels, blah, blah, blah. A cougar type figure approaches him and is like, hey, you want to get a drink with me afterwards? He's young, dumb, full of cum, and is like, sure, why not? And so like they go out to dinner afterwards. She invites him back up to the room. She's like, hey, in the foyer of like the hotel lobby, which is separate than the one they were staying at. It was like she invited him to like a Days Inn, which is separate, like I said, from the hotel he worked at intentionally, which is weird. It's like, just so you know, my husband's going to be up there. And he like thought about it, and she like, quelled his fears, was okay. And so they go up and basically do like everything but, and Jerry allegedly just sits in the room and, does whatever a cuck does. I don't know. I'm not okay. Here's the whole thing about this situation. As their relationship progresses into more and more like, intercourse, sexually explicit activities, they begin to invite him to like campus at Liberty, letting him meet Donald Trump, letting him come on family vacations, inviting him to their son's fucking wedding, letting him sit with the family at their son's wedding. And they would have like inside jokes of like, oh, where's Becky? Where's Becky? She's always missing. She's always missing. Yeah, because she's fucking the kid.
Yeah.
While Jerry's jacking off in the corner watching and joining in afterwards. The whole thing is, I don't want to shame Jerry and Becky for like having a kink, because like kink's totally legitimate.
Sure.
It is more the fact that Jerry and Becky ruin this kid's life by inviting him to be part of like this wild conservative moral majority Christian fantasy, as well as attempting to support him through like investment opportunities while still supporting the Liberty Way in the meantime. It's not the kink of like their swinger cuckold thing. It's more of like that in the midst of what we just read.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So there's a couple layers to it, because the same thing. Like when I was watching it, I was like, you know what? The kink's not that big of a deal. Like that's by itself, whatever, people have that lifestyle that they just enjoy doing that. They get more fulfillment out of it. And like if all parties are consenting, then
cause
sure.
It's, to be fair, I'll give them credit. It's not like they lied to him, the pool boy. I will say it started off as consensual.
No, yeah. I mean, at least especially the first time, like he talked about, was consensual. And so that's totally fine. And then there's a couple different layers, I think, that make it like awful. Like the most obvious, like you said, being the hypocrisy of leading like the biggest Christian school that has the Liberty Way, that where if you even have like consensual sex, then you'll get fined, if you have like regular one man, one woman type of sex, that type of thing, and a committed relationship, then you'll still get fined. So there's the hypocrisy of all that, of like trying to say that you're the moral majority, trying to be super pure, trying to have this like facade and this image of like being the good Christian people and doing things God's way, and well, homosexuality is a perversion. We're not perverse. Meanwhile, they're like doing what most Christians would consider incredibly perverse. So there's that, the hypocrisy of that. But then there's also like the even more abuse in the pool attendant's life is, like you said, they went in on him with some business opportunities, some investments, like so they kind of like put him in their hold and in their grasp, and then kind of passively suggested using compromising images of them as blackmail and stuff like that, where they then it doesn't become consenting because Giancarlo then feels like he has no way out because he's tied in with business with them, and like it's contingent on him pleasing Becky, that type of thing. And he knows that if he does try to leave or if he tries to like get out, then they can blackmail him. They can like they're connected to like literally the president by the end of it when Trump becomes president. Like they're connected with everybody. They can like force him to not have jobs. They can force him to not have girlfriends. They can like
Right.
control his entire life.
So even though it may have started
not only
off
did they do the
consensually,
scenario,
yeah. It started off
Yep.
consensually, but they manipulate him later on.
yeah, totally. Like it was a consensual time, and like he probably didn't expect it to become this entire relationship. But then once it becomes like a full relationship, then they trap him and just continually keep him there and keep him stuck. And he has no way out. And so that's like horrible by any possible metric. That's just like straight up abuse. So yeah, and then all the while they are pretending to be this couple that's an example of Christian virtue, and it's a story of a lot of Christians that ends up happening. A lot of high profile Christians, especially, something comes out and turns out they're a piece of shit. They're scum. Like they're not only hypocritical and sinning. Like, okay, so I would understand if you're a Christian and you do something that the Bible considers sin, but that the majority of culture in the country you're in doesn't really consider wrong, like I mean, trying to think of examples: gambling, drinking a lot, partying, like having sex outside of marriage.
My favorite things.
Yeah, like doing that. Like if you're living how we're living and you call yourself a Christian, sure, that's hypocritical, but you're not like, it's not awful, But with these Christian ones that come out, it's like Ravi Zacharias, all the Hillsong shit. Like they're all like stories of extreme abuse and stories of people hurting other people so much. They're not just doing their own thing with their own, like, for example, if Jerry and Becky like to have this lifestyle where they did look swinging cuck things, and they did that every once in a while at a club, at a swingers club, sure, that's hypocritical as fuck for them to be doing that and still be like in liberty and presenting themselves that way. But that's not an inherently bad thing if everyone's consenting and everyone is, and like no one's getting hurt. It's just a fun time that everyone's having. That then like I'd be like, okay, well maybe you should just get out of the Christian scenario. Then maybe you should just like pursue life elsewhere and not pretend to be what you're not. But these people, like the Falwells, are just horribly abusive in every way, by every metric that everyone in the world would call them abusive.
It's funny too because Jerry Jr. never wanted to be like the head of Liberty University. He just wanted to function as like the family lawyer or the family law consultant. But just through circumstances and like being picked out as the favorite by his father, he became the head of this. And there's some interviews and stuff that's talked about in a podcast I'm going to shout out later, just saying that like he never felt like he was up to this task anyways. And so it was almost inevitable for something to come out. When all this came out too, like it wasn't just this one affair cuckold thing that came out. There was multiple things that kind of dropped all at once back in like 2020.
Yeah. It was, there was lots of things. Like there was that one picture that randomly blew up, and this was one that like, to me it was a kind of unassuming picture, I guess, if you're not a Christian, like if you don't have the same values.
Yeah.
It was a picture.
Some people may know what picture you're talking about.
Yeah. So this was a picture of him and a pregnant woman that was on his yacht.
Not just any pregnant woman, but
so she was pregnant and couldn't get her zipper up. And so he had like a picture of his jeans also not being able to like get the zipper up. So his zipper was like kind of undone. and his like kind of beer belly was out, like. So I guess it was like in good fun, like a picture, uh, poking fun at how both of them had big bellies with no zip, like their zipper couldn't get up and whatever.
But
But
he's
he like
holding a
also
beer.
had alcohol, yeah, which he called black water or something like that.
Yeah, and he's
Which is
holding alcohol. She's like
yeah,
half undressed.
yeah. So just like things that wouldn't like if I posted that picture, no one would really comment on it.
Yeah.
It's not a big thing. But for the leader of the
Yeah.
Christian university, it's a big deal. Like he's breaking all the rules. So there was
Yeah.
that which blew up, and then there was I think there was some maybe financial scandals that I'm not super familiar with, but there was, like you said, lots of scandals that happened all at once. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really trying not to say any. I really want to get us canceled, Collier. I'm just trying not to say it. I try not to say it, Collier.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. You can probably say whatever.
Listen. I just hate that whole picture scenario leads back to our old church.
Oh yeah. The picture is connected to our church, which is funny. Yeah.
when the person we're talking about took the position at Liberty University, I was kind of shocked, especially like with him being like inner circle as he was at like both our home church and Liberty University. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah. No, our home church at Southeast has lots of connections with Liberty. Honestly, now they do. I feel like we've had lots of people go there and get involved with it.
But they're still going there.
Yeah. So that's the thing too. Well, so I don't. Is there anything else you want to share, like specifically about like breaking down the documentary, or should we talk about some more of our takeaways and?
Yeah. The only thing I want to say, like, left with the documentary is just that, like, by the end of it, I think the Falwells end up showing their true colors by like. It's so disgusting that Jerry just throws his wife under the bus. Like,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe she had, maybe she's the one who's sleeping with the other person, but you're fucking sitting there. You're the one who's doing all the business shit. You're the one who's manipulating him financially.
I knew somebody. Close to me in Louisville who I remember we were talking about this, and they were like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I believe everything that is coming out about this because, yeah, I mean, it seems like his wife just had an affair, and like, why are we trying to cancel him over that? And so, like, a lot of people did buy into Jerry Falwell's narrative. So, yeah, he basically, when the story broke, or the story was about to break about the pool attendant and about everything that happened, abuse wise and cuckold wise and all that, Jerry Falwell put in a story with the Washington Examiner, right?
Just some random
one of those like Trump connected like bullshit fake those one of those like basically tabloid type of papers, that's like a step above a tabloid. So he put in a story basically saying like, yeah, my wife had an affair and was cheating on me for the last 8 years. So he tried to spin the story that way when the real story that's corroborated by video evidence and everyone else is that what we just said. It was a scenario where he was fully involved with it. He was fully an active part of everything. But yeah, it's kind of shitty of like, I mean, I would assume that his wife, Becky, went along with that framing. Like, I guess she was like, well, in order to save our money and save our reputation.
Isn't that so Baptist, though?
I guess I'll take the fall.
That's so Baptist. That's so complementarian.
Oh, it's so Baptist. Yeah, like blame your wife for anything that the husband does wrong, so that way the husband can still practice ministry or whatever. Like it's so horrible. But yeah, so getting into then what you were talking about and what I was going to say was that with this documentary coming out, do you think that
sometimes I think.
Sometimes you do think. Okay. That is good. Do you think that anything will come of either this documentary or this whole scandal as far as evangelicalism is concerned, as far as even liberty is concerned? Do you think it's gonna tear them down? Do you think it's gonna be okay for them?
I think that this is a warning sign of a bigger issue.
Okay.
My hot take is that within the next 200 to 300 years, organized religion as we currently know it will be dead with the furthering of technology. Now, that's me making a hot take. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And I personally believe that this is more of just like an early onset sign. You know, God, look at the fucking trends right now. Mark Driscoll, the guy from Harvest Bible Chapel, James McDonald, Jerry Falwell Jr., like all this shit happening so much.
John MacArthur.
John MacArthur,
Yeah.
Carl Lentz, even
even Matt Chandler.
even Matt Chandler.
yeah.
God, it is sign of something bigger. And
At this point, I'd be surprised if there was an evangelical leader that's not a horrible person. Like, I mean, and I don't know. We knew the leaders at Southeast, but like, you never know where they're hiding either. Like, I don't know. I'm just gonna say it. Like, it's a fucking huge church.
fucking weird.
What are they hiding to? You know, like I just don't trust any. Like every single megachurch pastor and every single Christian organization leader has had a scandal now. Like they're all horribly abusive people. So
Dude,
if every single one of them is horribly abusive, then what are you still holding on to?
what are you still holding on to? And then like all of the truths. So like the historical like Catholic Church, and I don't mean the Catholic Church as today. I mean like before like the Reformation, spent a lot of time, money, and effort into concealing like truths things that they didn't want to share with the world. You know, the earth is not flat. It's not at the center of the universe, blah, blah, blah. They spent a lot of that. But now with like where the news and technology and rapid sharing of information is going, it kind of, I don't think it prevents it because someone's going to believe it. You know, someone's always going to be apt to. But like, it makes it a lot harder, and all the cracks show a lot easier.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. And you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess I somewhat agree with your hot take. At the same time, I feel like there's always possible like anti-trends, you know, where like a trend will be going away from the church and stuff like that. But then you know, we're seeing a lot of even trends right now of like a lot of holistic type of spiritualism popping up.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of hopefully agree with you though that like the organized part of it especially.
Yeah.
Like I don't think religion and spirituality as a whole will go away.
No,
I think that's going to make a comeback huge, but I think it'll make a comeback in the more I mean, maybe more individualistic ways, or at least ways that aren't that don't have to do with power and organization. I think that those are kind of going away.
I totally agree with you. And the problem is that now radicalizes the former majority slowly becoming minority.
Yeah, I mean that's why you see them going like being very, very vitriolic right now about a lot of things, is because they're becoming the minority. They're just terrified.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we see the rise of the like marginally spiritual or the nominally spiritual. When I talk to like just like my own coworkers, so I work with like 30 to 40 grown ass men. Most of them are like, yeah, I go to church Christmas and Easter and God, America, guns. Okay. But that's not really evangelical.
I mean, yeah, like theology, maybe not, but practice, evangelical is almost becoming that now. Like evangelical is turning into
a political party instead of an actual organized religion.
No, and so I think that's your point, though. Yeah, like if they would classify themselves as evangelical or Christian because of that, because of the political ties, and because of going to church, and because Trump says he's a Christian, you know, that type of thing, then that's not really the same type of religion that you're talking about. Like that's a falling away of the ones who see themselves as true followers of the word and everything. So yeah.
Right. Just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What
So
what do you think?
mhm. Well, so I think that as far as this documentary goes, while it might like legally present issues for Jerry Falwell Jr., I don't really see it doing shit to evangelicalism as a whole, unfortunately. Like, I feel like Liberty University is going to keep on chugging the way it is. I don't think they're going to change anything. I don't think that anything's going to, like, here's the thing that always happens anytime there's any type of scandal is the evangelical church will start talking about individual sin and talking about how this was like a singular issue of a single person of a single person or single group of people falling, and how you shouldn't put your hope in Christian leaders. You have to put your hope in Christ above, so I feel like that's gonna be maybe the same thing that happens. It might have a bigger impact long term. Same with Hillsong, I think that documentary and just like everything coming out, everything about all the abuse that they've had for so long. I mean, especially if Brian Houston ends up getting charged with covering up abuse and stuff like that. If stuff happens legally, then later on down the road, it might lead to a kind of dwindling of numbers. But
hopefully,
honestly, yeah, I'm not incredibly hopeful that this will do much. I think that everyone's going to say, I think everyone's either going to turn a blind eye and just try to forget it as quick as possible. Like they're going to try to get Jerry Falwell Jr.'s name out of their mouth and not talk about that, not talk about the scandal, but then still praise and laud Liberty University for being this amazing place. I feel like that's the route that a lot of people are going to take, and the people that do talk about it will, like I said, say it's an isolated incident. It's a one-time thing. Oh, no one's perfect. Everyone sins, but here's the good thing. Our God is a redeemer. He forgives, and here's why, you should trust in God and not trust in people. And I just think they're going to give those messages like around the evangelical world, and I don't know. I guess I'm a little skeptical that this will do much. Like, not that I think that the documentary shouldn't have happened. I think that's very good that these things get very public. I think that's great. I'm just not really hopeful that it will do. I don't think it'll make a huge splash. I think that things are going to keep on chugging. I think the Christian nationalism machine is going to keep on chugging. Liberty University is going to keep going. Yeah, I'm not too hopeful in that regard.
Yeah, I guess I never expected this one circumstance to be the downfall of evangelicalism, because it won't be. But I just hope that eventually, with enough of these circumstances lined up over and over and over, eventually the cracks will be too much and it can't support its own weight and it'll shatter. But that's just a hope.
True. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. If there are these many, which is why I said, like, I think the documentary is a great thing. I think that these should keep on being made. I think everyone should make a documentary about their church abuse, because if you start seeing, if each and every institution, especially the big ones, if each and every one has these major problems, then maybe, especially the ones who consider themselves to be the good Christians and the ones who, don't stand for that, maybe they'll leave. Maybe they'll start something new. Maybe they'll make a better type of Christianity, which will be much smaller, and it will leave. It won't be a big player in our nation, in our world. I don't know. I mean,
we can hope.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you're right that this is another crack. It's just like, I feel like nothing's happened with Hillsong, and I guess it hasn't been too long since Brian Houston was forced to step down, but still, with the documented abuse going back years with them, it's a little disheartening that, like, it doesn't seem like they've lost any power, But who knows? Maybe eventually it will continue. The cracks will continue happening.
Yeah,
and eventually it'll get so small. I mean, I guess on the flip side of my pessimism, the people who identify religiously as none has like skyrocketed, and as we can see from deconstruction related or evangelical related spaces on the internet, like that has been pretty huge. It's kind of exploded over the past 5 years or so. Um, so maybe that will continue to happen. Maybe they will continue gouging numbers at those churches. And yeah, I mean, I personally think that would be a great thing.
It would be great. Well, I don't see how now our own friends, 2 years removed from the break of this Jerry Falwell story, can now still enroll at Liberty, even the Christian ones.
I know, like I've had a couple friends.
You know who you are, and you are the problem.
Well, I was gonna say I've had a couple friends that were involved at Liberty and ended up leaving because of because of more because of the Trump stuff, which is another thing that the documentary gets into, is the Christian nationalism of it all, and the using Christianity and evangelicalism to push a conservative agenda, and that kind of whole goal that a lot of these Christians affiliated with Liberty have.
Dude, you know why he pushed Trump though, right?
I mean, probably for
No, there was a specific reason.
Oh, what was that?
So Trump had this, I don't remember the name of the man. He had this guy who was known as the Fixer.
Yeah, Michael Cohen.
Michael Cohen.
Uh-huh.
Michael Cohen helped the images of Becky and Giancarlo disappear.
Oh, that's right.
And Michael Cohen told Jerry Falwell that I'm going to call in a favor.
Mm-hmm.
So when Trump says that he needs an in with evangelicals to get those votes, he says, okay, I'm going to call in a favor for you. Calls it in with Jerry Falwell Jr. And I think Jerry Falwell Jr. was ultimately like happy to do it, but for him to go out of his way and like invite him to convocation and like,
because he became the first and like the spokesman for Trump in the Christian, in the evangelical.
He sucked Trump's
sphere.
dick. Okay. Like he bent over backwards for him. So it was because Michael Cohen had him by the balls, threatening him with nudie photos of Giancarlo and his wife.
Yeah. No, I forgot about that. That's right. Yeah.
It goes deep, man. You don't think that Liberty University is involved with like the fucking presidential mafia, but they are.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There was this one line that that Giancarlo said in the documentary where he said that Jerry told him that it's better to be a kingmaker than a king. So he basically, he meant by that he saw it as much more profitable and much more powerful to set people up in positions of power and sort of control the powerful people rather than be a powerful person yourself. Because if you are the powerful person, you got all the eyes on you. But if you're the one who sets up powerful people, you don't necessarily have everyone scrutinizing your every move.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and that seems like that goes down to definitely who Jerry Falwell Jr. was. Yeah. And the thing that's interesting, which I don't understand, like how Liberty can go on, because I feel like that they put so much of their identity around him and his family. Like it was, the reason that I had heard that name so much was because of a lot of friends going there and friends visiting. That's how I knew his name, because at Liberty, like they tried to make the atmosphere on the campus kind of revolve around him and his family. Like they were the celebrity family, and they were like, he was the cool dean, and they were like the rock stars of the campus. So I just find it interesting that Liberty can keep on going on as if nothing had happened when they tried to build their entire branding around him. And then when he fails, like, I guess they pivoted, but like, I don't know. I don't know how they can do that successfully.
I don't think it worked out that well.
Yeah, I mean, it probably didn't. Like, I'm sure there are. I mean, they're more of a laughingstock now.
They are,
like a serious school, yeah. I feel like if there were people that were
yes
more progressive Christians or something, just going to that school because of the resources and other reasons, I think any of them have pretty much left, and most people
I hope so.
now see liberty as a Trump machine. It is it's equivalent of going to like Trump University almost in a lot of people's eyes now. I feel like liberty is like equivalent now with far right politics.
Well, so they
So if you're
had
not far right, you might not go anymore.
yeah, they had this one Charlie Kirk, is that his name?
Yeah. Uh huh.
Who partnered up with the Falwell Center to make the Falkirk Center, which is just a conservative like
Yeah.
think tank.
Yeah.
Posted a bunch of Trump memes and then just disappeared with a bunch of money.
Totally.
Just
No, so
dumb shit.
they've went like far right now. So yeah, I feel like they've lost legitimacy as like as a Christian college, except for with the people who are very conservative.
Yeah. I've got a few things to talk about with my media rec that has to do with this story, but is there anything else you want to share about the documentary before I go into that?
No, yeah. I mean, go check it out. They do a really good job, like I said at the beginning, of talking about Christian nationalism.
Very good.
They document like the history of it really well. It reminded me a lot of I've shouted this out multiple times, but Straight White American Jesus and Bradley Onishi. His series The Orange Wave, which I think now you might have to pay for, like on his Patreon or something. He also just wrote a book. Well, fuck, I forgot the book name now. I'm sorry. But check out Bradley Onishi and check out Straight White American Jesus if you want some more stuff in that vein. But yeah, so the documentary does a good job of providing a basic historical framework for the religious right, the moral majority movement, and kind of where that came from.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. And I think they did it very tactfully.
Yeah.
In a way that really explained it and tied into the entire Falwell story.
Absolutely. Like it highlights what happened while also being able to like highlight the impact religiously and politically. Because it's all encompassing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's all I have to say. Go ahead and share that rec.
Okay, so there's a podcast called Gangster Capitalism. Okay, go look it up. It's got a symbol of like a money symbol with the large bold font, Gangster Capitalism. And basically they talk about scandals within organizations that are ultimately capitalist organizations that are wildly manipulative. So just for example, they talk about like season one's about like college admission scandals because of like, I mean, look at it. Look at the way that like college tuition's going anyways. Okay. Like that's fucking crazy. Season 2, they talk about like the NRA and like cool rifles, guns, whatever. But like the political influence the NRA institutes over people. So, and then finally in like season 3, they talk about Jerry Falwell Jr. and Liberty University. And the pool boy thing with Giancarlo is a big deal in it. But near the end, the bigger thing that they end up talking about is more of like the sheer massive amounts of sexual assaults that happen at Liberty. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Title IX has a location at Liberty.
Okay.
But there are multiple preventative measures that they institute in place to prevent women from filing with Title IX. Because when they file with Title IX, it goes on their record. And Liberty for a long time boasted to be the safest campus in the United States. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of fucking rape and sexual assault that goes on there. But if they don't report it officially through Title IX, doesn't get filed on their record.
Yeah. Is there, correct me if I'm wrong, but is there something about how they encourage like reporting to RAs or something like that rather than to Title IX?
Yes. So their big thing is they would rather you go to a RA, a teacher, or the Liberty's private fucking police force, who will all three attempt to talk you out of talking to Title IX and say, we'll go to the dean of students and we'll get this sorted out.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Terrible shit.
It's like, Which, I mean, is the exact same playbook we see in most of the evangelical churches. And like, hardly any evangelical church is exempt. Sorry, I'm angry now because this is just such a fucking like abuse of power and hurts people so bad. Our home church has done this with trying to, squash complaints and keep them internal. A lot of organizations do that. I mean, a lot of secular businesses have gotten in trouble as well, but like a lot of churches, and especially these organizations like Liberty that are huge, try to keep everything internal rather than reporting to outside, like reporting to police.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole scandal with the Houston Chronicle and the SBC, was that like they had like 200 plus or 400 plus documented,
a lot. I mean, so
cases. Many. And these were documented cases of alleged abuse where people came to the church and said, "Hey, I'm being abused," and they said, "Okay, we'll keep it quiet. We'll handle this internally," and then they didn't. And even if they did, like, that's still bullshit to not tell the police and to not, like, take it through legal functions that will then prevent that abuser from being able to be hired somewhere else.
You're right. Horrible. All this for me goes to say is like, hey, watch out for yourself. Watch out for people trying to take advantage of you, especially Christian schools. If you want to study a secular program, go to a secular school. They're probably going to watch out for you better than the Christian universities do, because the Christian university has more to lose.
Yeah.
So
it's true. And it's unfortunate, like it'd be nice if they were who they said they were.
Yeah.
That would be really nice, if they were a place of community that really looked out for the least of these. And unfortunately, like you just said, I think most secular institutions are doing a much, much better job of it recently, because Christian universities have more to lose because they could get their Title IX taken away. I mean, that's the biggest thing, really, is they could get. It'll impact them financially, and it'll impact them their image. Whereas with secular universities and secular institutions, they don't really have to worry about that as much, because it's good for their image if abuse happens and they cut it out, like, because they can just fire somebody and it's no big deal, but if it's the pastor who's abusing you, then they can't just fire him. Like that's a much bigger deal with some of those institutions.
Sadly, you're right.
Yeah, sorry, I'm this makes me more angry than I thought it would.
You're fired up, man. Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't expect to like really get into this one as much, but I don't know. It just hurts to see like the amount of abuse that happens and the amount of like hurt on people that continues to happen, and everyone just like tries to sweep it under the rug because they want to protect the reputation of whatever,
Super random thing. I just remembered the thing at Liberty University with freshmen is called Tuesday Tours.
Tuesday Tours. Okay.
I think
so it was alliteration. It wasn't a pun.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That might be.
That makes sense.
I don't know. But anyways, all this goes to say, listen to the Gangster Capitalism Season 3 of their podcast, because they highlight the stories of a lot of women who went through that. And so, like, just for example, a homeschool girl, she's a senior in high school, goes to one of the dorms. One of the football players tries to sexually assault her. She didn't even know what barely sex is, okay? Girl gets pregnant by her loving boyfriend. They force her either to kick her out of school by the end of the day or get married to her and present a certificate of marriage.
God damn.
By the end of the fucking day. There's a woman who was from a foreign country who was on staff and had a staff member sexually assault her. Like all sorts of crazy stuff. So there's like a big case. Look up Jane Doe's versus Liberty University. Big case right now. So
yeah, but then they can still, like you said, use the stats of the official reporting that comes from, like, I guess the real police or the law or whatever. They can use that official, or the Title IX. They can use the official Title IX.
The real police is never called.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no like legal reporting in that system, and then Title IX, like you said, they try to discourage them from going to Title IX. So yeah, they can use that reporting though and those stats to boast Liberty's the safest campus. We have we have no sexual assaults because we force everyone that was assaulted to not talk about it. Like that's the logic
That's
of it.
exactly what happened.
Oh my god, it's like it's so it's like the way that Trump uses stats too. Of like, hey, if we stop counting the votes, that means that I won, right?
Yeah.
If we stop testing for COVID, that means we'll have less tests for. That means we'll have less people testing positive, right?
Technically,
yeah,
yeah.
technically.
God.
Yeah, and so they just they abuse that. They abuse that so much. It's rough, but yeah. So the documentary is called "God Forbid."
God forbid. Yeah. Watch it.
On Hulu.
It's like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. It's like a movie. It's not a series like a lot of those documentaries are. So pretty easy to watch.
There's 8 episodes of the Gangster Capitalism podcast for this, and 2 bonus episodes about the Jane Does. Do you have any other media you want to shout out, Collier?
Awesome. So the other media I want to shout out that is completely unrelated to this.
Yes, bring it.
Is have you heard Phoebe Bridgers' new song?
Which one?
So she made a wait, hold on. Oh wait, did she? Oh, she must have released the rest of it, I guess. Ooh. Okay, so Phoebe Bridgers has a Christmas or winter little like single EP type of thing.
Yeah.
6 different songs on it. The one I had seen was If We Make It Through December, which is like the most fucking depressing Christmas song that exists. I mean, the only Christmas really that it is talking about December and talking about the season, but it's so fucking depressing in good Phoebe fashion.
I love it.
But yeah, the EP is called So Much Wine.
I just added it to my not
go
trash
check it out.
Christmas
It just
playlist.
came out like recently, 2022, very recently. So if you want some good Christmas songs that'll make you sad, go listen to that. It's really good.
It's in the queue, buddy. I'm gonna make it while I'm making my steak dinner tonight.
Ooh, steak dinner.
Yeah, Taylor's out of town tonight, so it's me and the boys. And the boys is in the cats.
Ooh, okay. Boys' night. Are the boys eating steak too?
No.
Oh.
Maybe I'll give them some like turkey giblets. I don't know. So.
Oh man, I know. I need to see Nacho. Now that we have video, you should present the boys on your video because Nacho's getting so big. I want to see him.
He's a big boy. He's a big boy. He's a chonker now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh man, you got a big orange chonker.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, sometime when we record season 2, I'll get him on here. But are you excited for season 2, the Hopefully Wanted podcast?
Yeah. No, I'm excited for season 2. Definitely. I think it'll be fun. I'm personally, I'm trying to take a little bit different approach to how I record, where I'm trying to not see it as like as much of a performance as I did, I think, in season 1. So, like you mentioned in our outtake, I'm talking more quietly, I guess, because like, yeah, I feel like in the past I'd seen this podcast as more of a performance, and I would like be performing for an audience. And now I'm taking the approach of more just talking, hanging out with you, Elijah, and not worrying about like, yeah, my projection and having all the right words and all that type of stuff. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the different vibe that will bring, the different guests that will bring. Yeah, I think season 2 will be very fun.
It's going to be amazing. I'm excited for our first 2 episodes, which are
our December 7th,
which is our yeah,
our deconstruction update.
Yeah.
So that's our first 2 episodes, personal story updates.
Yeah.
Launching the first week of first Wednesday of December and the third Wednesday of December. We're going to launch those 2. So yeah, if you listened to episodes 4 and 5 of our story, then this will be an update around about. We've almost gone a year around the sun since that's happened, and we're going to tell you where we are now and kind of what's happening with our lives.
It's going to be rad.
So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be like a week after this one airs. So, or a week and a half-ish after this one airs.
Something like that.
So be on the lookout. Yeah. Season 2. Woo! No, it's going to be amazing. I'm super excited. We're going to get 2023 kicked off right.
Yep. Where can people find us, Collier?
People can find us on Instagram is our main form of communication, and it is at Hopefully Wondering Podcast, all one word. That's where we do our most of our updates. Please DM us. Please respond to posts or stories with whatever you want. We're on Twitter at Hopefully Wonder. We're on TikTok at Hopefully Wondering Podcast. But yeah, Instagram is our main place. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Music, Amazon Music, podcasts, whatever. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you should be able to find us. Yeah. We're not on Patreon. If y'all want to pay us for doing this, then let us know.
OnlyFans.
Not anyone wants to.
OnlyFans for people to watch Collier and I make out. How much will you pay? Anyway,
we should just do these recordings. Put these on OnlyFans, these recordings.
Oh!
Yeah, I mean, what if we make these recordings a little sexy on Zoom and then, I don't know how common like hour and a half OnlyFans videos are that are over Zoom.
I don't know, Collier. Maybe they could be sexy.
What are you doing?
Step, bro. What are you doing? And on that note, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Collier. Come check out the podcast. We're excited for what's up next.
All right. We will see you all later. Go live it, go be it.
Bye.